Do you think fast cars are all about zooming down the road at lightning speed? Buckle up, because we're about to take a thrilling ride through the world of speedy cars that prove speed isn't everything. These cars aren't just about going fast, they bring a whole lot more to the table. Hold on tight, because we're not just talking horsepower and 0 to 60. We're digging into the souls of these cars, exploring what makes them unique beyond the speedometer. I'm your host, Kevin. Make sure to stay to the end. Number 2 is a real winner. Now let's hit the road. Number 5, Smart Roadster. Back in the late 1990s, the Smart 4.2 city car wasn't selling as well as Mercedes hoped. They're looking for a way to get people excited through the showroom doors, especially with BMW's new Mini making waves. So they came up with an idea, a lightweight sports car called the Roadster. It had only 2 seats, plastic panels, and a small 0.7 liter turbocharged 3-cylinder engine that gave it 81 brake horsepower. But here's the catch. It has slow automated manual gearbox with F1 style sequential shifting. However, it wasn't as F1 worthy as it claimed. Despite its funky looks and peppy cornering, the Roadster didn't sell as fast as it moved. The car gives off a 1960s vibe, like a small sports car from back in the day. It's super light, around 790 kilograms, and looks like it's made of bright plastic. Kinda like Tracy from a comic book. But don't let its appearance fool you. The Smart Roadster doesn't zoom like a rocket, and that's what makes it special. It's not as fast as some of the other cars, but it handles like a pro. Unlike speed demons that make you break the speed limit just by tapping the gas, this one lets you have a blast at legal speeds. That's a winner on crowded roads. Getting in and out of this car is a bit funny. The steering wheel doesn't adjust, and there's not much space for your feet, so it's like putting a jack back in its box. But once you're inside, it's cozy. The steering wheel fits just right, and everything fits snugly. The plastic might not survive a toddler's playtime, but it's cool. The soft top goes down fast for the open air feel. If you think going from 0 to 60 in 10.6 seconds is slow, imagine a European entry-level model with just 61 brake horsepower, managing 0 to 60 in a whopping 15 seconds. Is that even technically considered moving? These cars prove there's more to the fun of driving than just pure speed. Sure, they're a bit noisy at higher speeds, and luggage space is tight, but who cares? This car isn't about being practical, it's about fun. It's not for everyone, but if you want a unique, fun ride that will keep you smiling, this could be the one. Number 4, Ferrari 208 GTB. In the 1980s in Italy, there's a rule that gave tax breaks to cars with smaller engines, less than 2.0 liters. This was especially good for expensive cars like Ferraris. Ferrari took advantage of this by making special V8 engines that were smaller, and people in Italy loved them. These smaller engines saved a lot of money on taxes for the car buyers. The 208 GTB and the 208 GTS were popular models in the 1980s. People like to save taxes, but they also want more speed. Ferrari had a solution, which is turbocharging. Turbocharging is a way to make cars faster, and Ferrari was already using it in its racing cars. In 1982, Ferrari made the 126 C2, a powerful car that won races. It had a small 1.5 liter engine, but could produce more than 650 horsepower because of turbochargers. Ferrari won the constructor's title in 1982 with this car. To bring this speed to regular cars, Ferrari made the 208 GTB Turbo. It had a 2.0 liter V8 engine with a turbocharger. This made the car faster and more powerful. The older 208 GTB had 155 horsepower, but the new 208 GTB Turbo had 220 horsepower. It could reach speeds of 150 miles and go from 0 to 60 in just 6.6 seconds. In 1982, this was a big deal. The design of the car also changed a bit. There are extra cooling slots at the front and more louvers at the back. The 208 GTB Turbo was sold in 1982, and another model, the 208 GTS Turbo, came out in 1983. Both cars sold well, even though they're only available in Italy. Number 3, the Pontiac Fiero. Now let's dive a bit deeper into the Fiero and explore its journey. Despite the initial hiccups, the Ferrari's concept was quite innovative, aimed to provide people a more budget-friendly option for car enthusiasts who wanted a taste of the sports car experience without breaking the bank. This became especially relevant during times of high fuel prices, where having a smaller, more fuel-efficient sports car made a lot of sense. The 1985 upgrade brought a V6 engine to the Fiero, injecting some much-needed power into the mix. This performance improvement was a step in the right direction, making the car more competitive in the market. The acceleration numbers, like the 0 to 60 time of 10.7 seconds, showcased a car that could hold its own on the road. However, the engines were a significant drawback. The 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine with 190 brake horsepower tended to encounter serious problems such as pushing a rod through the engine block and creating an oil-leaking, self-barbecuing situation. It's a cautionary tale about the delicate balance between performance and reliability in the world of sports cars. Despite its flaws, the Fiero left an indelible mark on automotive history. It highlighted the importance of careful engineering and quality control in producing successful sports cars. So while speed is undoubtedly a thrilling aspect of these vehicles, the Fiero reminds us that a well-balanced package is crucial for a sports car to truly stand the test of time. Only 2 left. Next one's my favorite. If you're enjoying the video, please subscribe and like. Now, let's get back to the road. Number 2, the DeLorean DMC-12. Ever heard of the DeLorean DMC-12? It's a special sports car made between 1981 and 1983. This car was ahead of its time, with doors that opened upwards and a body made of shiny stainless steel. You might think it was a big hit, especially because it got the starring role in the famous Back to the Future movies from 1985 to 1990. But here's the twist. The company that made it, the DeLorean Motor Company, DMC, went bankrupt, and they stopped making the car before the first movie even came out. The guy behind this, John Zachary DeLorean, knew a lot about making cars. He was a big shot in the car world, known for his work on the Pontiac Fiero. He wanted to repeat that success with his own company, so he started DMC in 1975 and created the futuristic DMC-12 for the US market. To make things interesting, DeLorean looked for a good deal to start making cars. Puerto Rico almost got the deal, but then the British government stepped in with a better offer. They wanted to boost the economy in Northern Ireland, so they built a massive factory near Lisburn. The first DMC-12 hits the street in 1981. But here's the catch. The people building these cars were new to the job, and that led to some problems with the quality. The car looked great, but it wasn't as powerful as it should be, and it cost more than other similar cars. Also, the stainless steel exterior was cool, but it showed fingerprints too easily, making every car look the same. That didn't sit well with Americans who wanted their sports cars to stand out. Sales started dropping and money troubles started knocking on the door. British government said they'd help out if others pitched in, but no one else wanted to invest. So in 1982, the company went belly up. More than 2,500 people lost their jobs, and more than 100 million in investments vanished. And here's a wild twist in the story. DeLorean tried to save his company by selling cocaine. Yep, you heard it right. But in 1982, he got caught in a government sting. The agents who arrested him were later found guilty of trapping him, and he was cleared in 1984. When asked if he'd go back to making cars, DeLorean joked, "Would you buy a used car from me?" Surprisingly, more than 2/3 of the 9,000 DMC-12 cars made are still around, becoming cool classics for car collectors. So there you have it, a speedy story about a sports car that went through some serious ups and downs. Number 1, the 2013 DC Avante. Imagine yourself spotting a sleek sports car that makes your heart race, even if you're not a car nut. Now, if you're someone who enjoys catching a whiff of cars now and then, you've probably come across the DC Avante. It's a 2-seater, mid-engine sports car that not only makes the road seem narrower, but also brings a big smile to your face The DC Avante is quite a unique car, and surprisingly, not many people know about it, even though it was made from 2012 to 2020. This car boasts a mid-engine design with a 2.0-liter turbocharged inline 4 borrowed from Renault, giving it a power range of 250 to 310 horsepower. Now let's talk about the construction of this beauty. The Avante is built on a tubular steel frame with a carbon composite skin, making the chassis strong and rigid. This design gives the car a solid and well-connected feel, instilling confidence in the driver. Thanks to its low-slung setup, the Avante keeps body roll to a minimum, allowing you to tackle curves at higher speed. So this car zooms off like a champ when you hit the gas pedal. It's speedy, no doubt, but maybe not exactly as fast as the company claims. Who knows? When you start, it feels like a regular engine, but then the turbo kicks in around 2200 RPMs, and things get wild. Turbo whoosh comes out of nowhere and the power just keeps on coming until you hit 5500 RPMs. Shifting gears? It's like giving the car a speed boost. Super satisfying. The way the clutch grabs onto the flywheel makes the shifting a bit jerky, but it's good kind of jerky. After all, the car goes exactly where you point it. Talk about control. The third gear is even more exciting, especially when you hit the gas hard. This car can easily hit some pretty impressive, maybe even a bit too fast speeds. It's a real thrill. Sounds impressive, right? Here's the catch. Despite all of its racing potential, the DC Avante has a top speed capped at just 120 miles per hour. That's roughly the same as a mid-range crossover. It's a bit puzzling why they made that decision. Perhaps they aimed for a car with quick and fun gearing on the track, but on a long straight road, you'll find the needle hitting the limiter. It's one of the quirkiest choices for a sports car. Comment down below and let us know which car surprised you the most. Who would have thought that speed isn't the only factor making these cars stand out? If you're enjoying our journey through the world of sporty rides, you won't believe these cars that have completely unique styles. Click on the next video to see all about these amazing beauties.